This is how I made my Honeydukes inspired costume for an epic Harry Potter themed party. When I got the invite and started brainstorming costume ideas, I of course wanted to be on theme, but I also wanted the costume to feel like me because this was a networking event as well. So I landed on a staff member from the bright and colorful sweet shop Honeydukes. A little niche, but totally my vibe, and this was my inspiration. I've been loving making my own aprons, so I thought this would be a great chance to sew one that's a little bit more extravagant. Plus, once I realized I could make a cake headpiece, I was sold. To give you an idea of how long this project has been in the works, I sourced my fabric from Joann's, RIP, and then I just dove in. I haven't really been using patterns when I make my aprons. I kind of just go off of my measurements and what I like. And what I like is lots of ruffles and pleats and all the girly things in my aprons. And I really wanted this to be more costume-like. So I really made two aprons. One that was like a much fuller skirt, and then I made the gingham apron that I laid over top of the first one. Okay, once I got the apron in a good place, I started working on the cake headband. I wanted something a little bit smaller that would fit on a headband rather than like a cake hat. So the original plan was to use all styrofoam dummy cakes, but I realized the smallest dummy cake I had was a 4-inch size. So for the top tier, I actually ended up using a empty sprinkle container. I covered both of them in royal icing and allowed them to set completely, and then stacked them and decorated them. Near the end, I started to run out of time, and I didn't have the time to let royal icing completely set, so I ended up trying some fast setting spackle, and I loved working with this. The texture was really awesome and great to pipe with, but I think where I went wrong was I used actual food coloring when I think I, after further research, should definitely have used like acrylic paint to color it rather than food coloring, because the food coloring didn't set completely. It definitely wasn't tacky, but it definitely was soft, which was nice, so I could add the candies and the chocolate frogs, but it made a mess at the end of the night in my car when my cake headband flipped over. The day of the party, I was trying on the apron again with my dress. I love how it looks together, but I decided I wanted to make a couple adjustments. The ties were a little long, especially because I decided I didn't want to tie it in the front. I wanted to tie it in the back, so I needed to shorten the ties, and then I also wanted to bring the waistline up. It wasn't quite hitting right, so I just unpicked those stitches and restitched it together. Really happy I did this because it went from a little awkward fitting to perfectly fitting. Then I very carefully hot glued my cake onto my headband, a little precariously, but it totally worked. It was definitely a balancing act, but I absolutely adore of how this came together, and it felt so special that I actually made this costume, and I think I caught a bug. I want to make another one. At least, definitely, I need to make another apron soon. Thank you so much for joining me for this fun costume and cake adventure. Until I see you in the next one, I love you so much. Bye-bye!